Hey guys, it's Stacy with Yafictionfreaks, and today I'll be doing another book review for you guys. This one is over A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'engle. I don't know if that's how you say your name, so please don't yell at me if I said it wrong. But this book gets a 2.5. If you remember my rating system, a 2 is a book that's got a little bit going on, but not much. And a 3 is a decent book, and this falls in between those two because it was just a strange book for me. It did win an award, the John Newbery Medal for the most distinguished contributor to American Literature for Children award. And that's why I'm confused of why it's a YA book, because the main characters are children, and it does get a little I can't relate to the characters or relate to anything they're doing because they are kids. And I think the reason it got bumped up into being a YA fiction book is because it kind of brushes over the of quantum mechanics and string theory and time travel and stuff like that. It kind of just goes over it a little bit. So that's why I think that's why it's a YA book, because of that concept. I think is too much for a child to grasp onto, so they just decided to bump it up to a YA book. I know it's a series. I don't know how many is in the series. Alex from Alex Read Books told me there was 4 when we were doing our podcast last night. But I think he's wrong because in this particular series, well, at the beginning of this book, there's a family tree. And there's 2 families listed on this family tree. And one is about the family in this book. And I think what happens, I think each family has its own number of books in their series, but I think they are all kind of conjoined together, because on the other page it says how these 2 families crossed and connect this page. But I'm not really gonna show you this too much because it's the last time you're gonna see it, because this is a spoiler, I think, not just for this book, but I think all the books to come, because if you know how to read a family tree, which it's not too hard to read a family tree, it tells you who marries who. So it's like when you first meet these characters, you already know who they're going to marry, and you know when they meet this character that, oh, these 2 are obviously going to hook up, because it tells you in the front of the book. So if you are going to read this series, I would not read that family tree. It is a huge spoiler. It spoiled it for me because it tells you who hooks up, and who falls in love. So if you do read it, don't read that family tree. Just skip right over it. You can probably read it when you're done with the book, but it still kind of spoils it for you. It kind of reminds me, what it reminds me of is The Never-Ending Story, the movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but that's what it reminds me of, because it's good and it's kind of written for children, but it has like just some things that happen in it that you just really don't understand, or you really can't just wrap your mind around. And that's how this book was for me. It was just, there were just some things that was just like, oh, okay. But at the end of it, it does start to pick up. It does have a very nice little, cute little ending. I am going to read the rest of the series. I have to order them because my Borders doesn't have them. And it will tell you if the series gets any better, or if it's going to be worth getting, because at this point, it's really not. It's not something that I would run out and get. But it would be, how I would think of it is, if you see it at your library and you're curious about it, I would rent it from, or check it out from your library instead of going and buying it, because I don't think it's worth the buy. But I am going to go ahead and read the rest of the series, like I said, and I'm going to do probably 2 videos, one on each family, if that's how the series go, like I predicted it. That's complete guess. That's not something that I've read online or something, so I could be completely wrong. But if it is, the series is broken down into 2 families, like I think it is, I'll do one for each family series and tell you if it's any good, if it does pick up. The way this book ended made it look like that it could pick up and start to get better. Besides that, I really don't want to talk too much about what goes on in the book because the flap, what tells you, gives you a summary of the book, doesn't really give you anything. It gives you a summary of what happens at the beginning. It's kind of like a dot dot dot, like, oh, you have to read it to figure out what the book is actually about. So that's a little weird. So I don't want to really talk about anything because if this author didn't want it to be on her flap for whatever reason, I don't think I should spoil it for you guys. It just says, it was a dark and stormy night, and Meg Murray and her small brother Charles Wallace and her mother came down from the kitchen for a midnight snack when they were upset by an arrival of the most disturbing stranger. Yeah, that's it. It goes on a little bit more, but it's nothing. Next, me and Jessie have been going to Borders like mad and getting all these books. I have 13 to show you guys. She has over 10, I know. But she's never home long enough for me to do it with her. So as soon as she gets that, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to do it because it's me and her and we both have all these books. Some of them are the same because we were going to go meet the authors. So some of them are the same. That's why we're going to do it together. And we went to we went on vacation to Tennessee and we found this little bookstore that has books that are not mass produced. So we got a couple little finds there that look like they could be interesting. So I really can't wait to do that, and I hope when that goes up, you guys can watch it. Hopefully it will be up by this weekend. Sorry I was so vague on this book. It's just really not much to tell. It is really thin. It was a really fast read, and hopefully the series picks up so I can tell you guys, hey, actually reading through this first book was actually worth it because the other ones get better. Hopefully I'll be able to say that to you guys in about a month. But besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed the review and happy reading.